Dude,
there it
that's Smylie Kaufman for 61. Wow.
I'm Smylie Kaufman, and this is The Smylie Show.
Welcome back to another episode of The Smylie Show, and boy, do we have an episode that I've been looking forward to for a considerable amount of time today, Smylie. I'm, of course, Charlie Hume. He is Smylie Kaufman. But the stars of today's episode, well, Smylie, you're a star. I'm not going to belittle you here. But we have Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth joining us today to break down the golf trip you were just on in Ireland, which is going to be phenomenal. And we are presented today by Wear SPF, a phenomenal sunscreen partner, a phenomenal skincare partner, as we noted it several times before on the show. Here's the thing about this, Smylie, and feel free to chime in here if you'd like to. I don't think anything that we're going to say right now is going to be better than the Wear SPF read that Justin Thomas is going to do on the back end of his interview. So do we need to say anything else here?
Nothing needs to be said.
All I will say is use the code SMILEY50, SMYLIE50 for a buy one, get the second one half off, and just stick around at the end of the JT interview because that's going to be the best version of this read anyway. So
well said.
With that said, let's dig right in, Smylie.
All right, we're back with a special guest, Justin Thomas. Thank you for joining. Just had a fantastic 4 days with you over in Ireland. We made it. It was a great trip. And we're going to recap a little bit of the trip. But before we get there, I think, as you know, we just recently partnered with Wear SPF, and you helped launch the company, the sunscreen brand, and you have such a great story. So I'd love for you to kind of tell us a little bit more about your experiences with melanoma, skin cancer, just your whole upbringing in skincare, and just how it led you to Wear SPF.
Yeah, it was definitely a wild experience. Fortunately, my parents have always pushed me going to the dermatologist and getting checked, which, you know, when you're in high school and college, like that's the last thing you want to do. You're like, I'm fine, whatever. And, you always think everything's fine. And I've probably had 5, 6, 7 moles taken off. I had one of them.
Have you
that
really?
Was cancer.
Wow.
Yeah. Just random. I mean, like it's little things, you know, like have one taken off like here and like one on my foot, I had one that was cancerous on my back. I think it was middle school, but it wasn't anything major. But yeah, it was 2019. I went and I just had a tiny mole on the back of on my left calf that I thought kind of looked weird, and had the dermatologist check it out, and he agreed and cut it off. And I think it was like a day or so later, you know, getting a text message from your doctor at 9:30 at night saying, please call me, is generally not a good thing.
No.
So he explained to me, and he's like, you got melanoma, and this is what we have to do. And, you know, I was 26, and I didn't know anything about it. I knew that melanoma was cancerous, but like, I didn't know how the severity of it.
Right.
But he basically told me I had to go back in, had to get it, you know, removed. When it's melanoma, they have to cut down to the fat to do it. I mean, they call it a surgery. It's not really like it took, 10 minutes or whatever. They just numb it, but it's a nice little chunk, and I got a huge scar on my leg. But my doctor said I was probably 3 or 4 months away from being a patient in the hospital. So when you're 26 years old and you hear that, it's eye-opening, and we were very fortunate to make a great opportunity and try to kind of drive a message home because of it, and Wear SPF, and kind of getting people of all ages, especially athletes, spending time out in the sun a lot, like we do, to make sure it's not you're not too cool to wear sunscreen kind of thing. And I was firsthand experience of being pretty scared as someone in their mid to late 20s about getting skin cancer. So we've been able to do a lot of good with it and kind of spread the love.
Yeah, and rightfully so. And how did you get set up with Wear SPF? Was it just like, hey, I want to get involved, and next thing you know, you're the face of the whole thing?
It was, yeah. I mean, you know how it goes sometimes. It's like we're very fortunate to meet a lot of people through golf, and whether it be pro-ams or friends of friends, however it may be. And I mean, I put something out after the fact of getting the melanoma removed, just for the sake of kind of like, hey, reminding everybody to go get checked and make sure you're looking after yourself, spending time in the sun type thing. And then I think when some dermatologists had seen that and some other people that were involved in different brands saw that, and then someone had reached out to my agent, who's a friend of ours, and then that just kind of got the ball rolling of like, how can we turn this into something that is, a message and really is able to kind of speak to people through, and it's a very obvious a story. It's not just like a brand that just happened. It's like, look, we want to do this to make sure that everybody, is going to get checked and wear SPF. And so the same kind of thing doesn't happen to them.
And I can tell you this, when you and I were, let's say 10, 11, 12 years old, Greenville, Mississippi, 110 degrees out for junior golf. We finish the day, we go to the pool. I don't know if we were putting on sunscreen. So I'm just going to go ahead and say at an early age, we probably could have gotten off to better starts. It's never too early to start wearing sunscreen. I know plenty of college athletes, a very large percentage of them don't wear sunscreen. There's hydration benefits as well. And there's no easy way to make the segue from sunscreen to Ireland, because most of the time in Ireland, we're talking about rain, we're talking about wind, but Justin, we showed up to about as good of weather in Ireland to where actually you needed some sunscreen. It's a shame that the guys didn't have to play in harder weather.
It is. And I honestly, it's like, it was wild. Like I was not expecting it, and I'm with you. Like I didn't want, it was like somewhere between what we had and like Saturday afternoon at the Open. Like I didn't want that. That wouldn't have been fun.
That was too much. Like
just like it would have been nice, watching the guys looking at us like, can I get the 7-iron there from like 115? You're like, go for it, bud. You give it a try. So yeah, that would have been nice if we could have had some of that.
Oh gosh. We've been talking about doing whether it's a golf trip. It's kind of a bit, this doing a golf trip in Ireland for, I'd say maybe 3 or 4 years. I just started randomly just always poking it in. It's like, oh no, wait, this is our next trip. And then all of a sudden, I don't know who it was, who I was talking to. We're like, wait, let's try to do this after the Open.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I'm with you. I think we honestly have so many of those going. So many of these, like kind of like not like fake trips, really. We're going to do this, and everybody obviously is at a very different point in our lives than we were 10 years ago, where life doesn't allow us to take 6 or 7 trips a year. But and then all of a sudden, it just kind of did. It came to fruition. It was like, wait, this is real. Yeah, we can do this. And next thing you know, we had a squad.
I was shocked, like even me, of how smoothly everything went. Just shocked. Everything was from start to finish. We didn't have any hiccups, which for us, that was a huge win.
It was. And this is like a backhanded compliment. Especially with you setting it all up. Like we were, not that we were expecting it to fail, but it wouldn't have surprised us if like one day we got to the course and we're like, yeah, we don't have you guys anywhere. And we're like, well, yeah, we're like, Smiley's like, sorry, I called the wrong place or something. But
yep,
man, you, that was impressive. You crushed it, and we definitely had you to thank, but I'm sure all of our reactions were the same when we saw this Greyhound bus that was driving the 12 of us or 13 of us around everywhere.
It was unbelievable. Just the time on the bus, the golf courses. And I just want to get your overall highlights. We played 4 great golf courses, the European Club. We played the Island Club, Portmarnock, which is apparently getting an Open Championship. So we kind of got to look at it. And then County Load is how the caddies pronounce it to me, but I was pronouncing it Loath. So yeah. There's an Irish version and an American version how you say it. But I just want to hear your highlights of golf courses and just anything that comes to mind from the trip.
Yeah, they were all different or amazing for different reasons. I think, the views at a place like European Club and the Island Club were just unbelievable. I think how they kind of incorporated the water into some of the holes and a little bit of elevation change and
that race for the Cy Young, pretty much as equally compelling and intriguing as the race for the wild card spots in the National League.
And also keep in mind, this team doesn't pitch the entire season, so his ERA gets affected much, much more if he has a poor outing than, let's just say, Chris Sale or Zach Wheeler that's been there all season long. This would be a fun one to watch it play out, but the big loser last night were the Phillies and Zach Wheeler.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Where are you at in terms of a starting lineup, what you want to see from Team USA?
I think he'll get guys involved, and then there's your lockdown defender at the point guard, the point of attack, right? I do like Curry. I would then go with Ant. I like Ant over Booker. I think if you look at the way the Canada game was, they looked kind of slow starting, and then they kind of got rolling.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
The silver and the bronze. I give you Canada, France, Germany, Serbia, and Australia.
Germany, more so than Canada. I think that their talent, it's a little more tiered. You know what Dennis Schroeder's capable of, Franz Wagner, another player, Daniel Tice steps up, and Mo Wagner as well. They're built to really take advantage of the mistakes that Team USA makes, and they can make the effort plays.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
However many units are on the line, however many people, however many cocktails, like it's a perfect scorecard. And someone questioned him on one hole. He's like, well, one thing I never get wrong is the scorecard. And then we're on like 13 and he's added up and he's like, this is wrong.
I looked back from number 13 and I'm like, I'm missing $140 somewhere. I don't know where I'm missing it. And I'm looking back and I'm like, no, yeah, it doesn't match up on 11. And I got to track it back to like number 7.
Only on SportsGrid.
I forgot, honestly, how different links golf is in Ireland versus Scotland, how while the course is still pretty flat, there's just, you kind of play between the dunes. And I think we were all telling the guys, like the fescue of the courses we played was 100% thicker than the Open. I mean, the fescue at the European Club was a joke. Like I lost an infinite amount of golf balls. Like we were playing the tees up with all the guys. And I'm sorry, I didn't go on a trip to Ireland to hit 4-iron off tees. So Jordan and I are like trying to thread the needle here on like a couple yard wide fairway. And, I hit a couple in the stuff and
fair enough.
They were hard to find, but yeah, it was just fun being able to play that much links golf, not in competition, to where I felt like I could kind of have some fun and hit some different clubs and some different shots. And I was probably really annoying to caddy for, because, I was hitting like 8-irons from 90 yards and stuff, like running it up the whole way. But I'm like, we can't do this in the States. So I'm trying to take advantage of it.
Well, you always said you've loved playing links golf, and it's so fun to play all these different shots. You have so many different options. And it felt like every single day that you were there, you leaned more and more into exactly what you're talking about. By County Louth, you were just hitting just the most absurd shots.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head. Like it was, obviously it was, I would never do a golf trip after a Scottish or a tournament and a major, except for over there. Like there's a lot of places in the States I love, and I would be honored to go play, but after like a major, that's a lot. And so the interest level in golf in general wasn't maybe as high as it would be if I went next week or right now, but it was still, because of playing those courses that, we're never going to play unless we're there. It kept the interest level up. But yeah, it definitely was something where I just, between looking for golf balls for the guys from time to time, maybe a couple of myself, it was just like, I just don't really feel like hitting a 9-iron from 150 yards. Like, just give me a 6-iron. Like, let's just see what I can do. I don't know.
It was because it was like, I remember at County Louth, I think it was like the 6th hole. It's like this par 3, and you come up to watch us on the tee, and it's I mean, it's like an 8 or 7 iron, I think is what I was pulling. You're like, yeah, I hit 5 iron. I was like, where? And you're like trying to run it up through the bunkers and just playing all these absurd shots. So to your point, these caddies are probably like, we have Justin Thomas here, and he just won't stop playing these ridiculous shots because I'm sure they all want you to shoot
14
nothing,
pars,
right?
3 bogeys, and a birdie. Yeah, pretty much.
But hey, shout out to the caddies though, right? Like caddies over there are just, I think we don't underappreciate how much caddies can make a golf trip really sing. And we had, I think my favorite day with caddies was at the Island Club. I think the Island Club caddies made our experience just go from already like a sick golf course with the dunes that you described. We're playing all these fun shots, but they had just as much fun as we did, which I think made that rounds very enjoyable.
Yeah, I agree. They can totally change the vibe and just the energy of the group. I mean, after, a bit of a late night on Monday night and then going into a 7 a.m. wake up call, which upset of the year, all of us being on that bus ride, by the way, I would have put the house on somebody missing that bus ride. But we all get there and, we're not exactly moving quickly. And the caddies really brought us back to life. And I mean, we got to a point on the back nine where I think, one of our buddies' caddies, he took the bib off and he was just like, you take it. He's like, I can't even help. Like you let's switch. Like I'll play, you caddy kind of thing. And it's the accent that they give it with makes it even funnier and more entertaining.
Oh man, it's just so many great memories from this trip. I mean, so many things we can't even talk about, all of these funny bits that we had during the trip. But there's a couple things I want to talk about. Three of my favorite highlights. The eagle putt at 16. Most nervous you've been. This is at Port Marnock, right after I hooped a 40-footer when we were playing a Wolf Hammer game.
Wow. Yeah. That was.
People don't forget. I don't forget.
Yeah. Oh, I think we should go back to the second shot because
oh God, that's right. I forgot about this.
Yeah, like I was kind of waiting for you to hit, and then I looked behind, humble brag, hit it quite a bit past Smylie, but I turned back and Smiley's over his shot and then completely stops. He has like an iron in his hand, and he's like, "My back, I just went out." He's like, "My back." He's like, "Give me the 3-wood," and his caddy's like, "What the hell's going on?" So he like takes the 3-wood and he's trying to. And then he's kind of like trying to move and stretch out a little bit. And I'm looking at this. I'm like, what is going on? And then you kind of get over it again. And you're like, all right, no, I'm good. Yeah, give me the iron. And I'm like, what is going on? And then you get the iron back. You hit it to like 40 or 50 feet. I hit one in there, like 12. And then you hammer. And then you hoop it, just natural form. And people forget that we almost had to take you off the course in a stretcher 15 minutes prior. And then, and then fortunately we accepted the hammer and I made the putt, but it made for a good story nonetheless.
The best was like Jordan trying to do math right next to me, trying to figure out, okay, the hole started at X, it doubled here, it doubled there. Now you made it, so it tripled. So this putt was worth X. And then we did that for your entire routine, and we never settled in on how much that putt was going to be worth if you missed it. Luckily for your sake, you made it. And then, of course, actually for the first time, Jordan was not good with the scorecard. Normally he was talking, he was chirping too much.
I've never heard him. I mean, it's probably my fault. I've kind of made his head big in that department. I've talked about it a couple of times of how good he is at keeping score, through however many units are on the line, however many people, however many cocktails, like it's a perfect scorecard. And someone questioned him on one hole. He's like, well, one thing I never get wrong is the scorecard. And then we're on like 13 and he's added up and he's like, this is wrong. And then again, on 15, he's like, this isn't right. Off. And I don't know if you remember, we were walking up, I think like 18, and we turn around and Jordan is sitting like Indian style in the fairway with the scorecard. Like this, like trying to figure it all out.
I don't think he ever did because he never told me. I was like, just tell me how much I owe. I don't care.
The whole trip was just a big wash. It was worth it.
And we early celebrated his birthday at dinner that night, and I think this is the most upset with you've been with me for a very long time because I tapped the waiter. It's like, hey, we got a birthday this week. Can we bring a cake out and celebrate? And they're like, what's his name? I was like, Jordan. And you're like, no, it's Justin. and you were so upset that I was so adamant that we must sing to Jordan and not Justin.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I thought you'd be all over that. And I think I even said it first. I was like, I'm going to get in
what?
that
I think that sounds right. Yeah, you did say it first.
If I say it first, Smylie would be like, oh, yeah, no, it's Justin. And I'm like, it's Justin. And he's like, no, it's not. It's Jordan. I'm like, dude, what's wrong with you? Like,
I don't know what got into me.
Recently, I feel like I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not making bad swings. I don't feel like I'm making terrible decisions, and just had got a little bit of a streak of bad luck on par fives. Didn't birdie any of them at the Open, didn't birdie any of them today. It's just, and I didn't feel like I did anything terribly wrong, right? But that's just golf. It happens. What's done is done, and this week is the most important week of the year right now.
If he lands it pin high, he's going to be off over the pin position and leave himself a tough putt there. That should bite now. He didn't like it by the looks of it, but he'll love it when he sees it.
Just get this before that bunker. Put himself in a good position.
Just a tiny little baby fade, ideally placed.
To tie the lead at 16.
Oh, he's playing well, isn't he, John Rahm?
And OMG, what a championship Sunday we just witnessed.
Win, right? Selfishly, you always want to get that done, but you don't want to see a teammate and a good friend, missing a putt for that happening for me.
The Live Golf League delivers every single event, doesn't it? I mean, what an incredible finish there. You know what, Tyrrell Hatton, I feel for him. He's been playing beautiful golf. In fact, since Miami, he's been the best player in our league based on the strokes gained metric.
I'm really happy that I had my first Live Golf win. Now that Kelly and the kids are watching, just knowing that I'm bringing the trophy home for them, it feels good to say that it's coming home.
It was out of character, and I apologize, because typically I'm all in for very goofy bits that we think are funny that nobody else thinks is funny. That's normally right in character with me, and for whatever reason, I was not having any of that funny business.
Maybe you read the room and understood that the entire staff was probably fed up with
That's
the
probably
13
a good point.
of us that rolled in there in our golf clothes after 36 holes, and we just needed to see ourselves out.
Yeah, I mean, we were trying to be, you wanted to continue to be some silly gooses, and that just was not going to continue to happen. All right, I got two more for you on the way out. Favorite hole on the entire trip?
Favorite hole?
Yeah.
Ooh. Wow, you're putting me on the spot right here. This is a tough one. That one hole at the Island Club was pretty cool. It was like supposed to be like the most narrow fairway. The one that you striped, and I think you told all of Ireland about. You hit it in the
Yes, I think it's the I want to say it's
12, 13?
13, 13 I think. 13th hole at the Island Club. I think the fairway's 8 yards wide, give or take.
Yeah. It was tight.
And Lucky hit the fairway.
European Club had some really, really cool holes, like very non-linksy, but like super scenic. Like I feel like I could kind of pick one from each that just were awesome. But the one of the super, super narrow fairway, I think, like we said, 12 or 13, something like that, was at Island Club, was sweet.
Did you hit the fairway?
I did.
Did you?
I did.
Well, how about that? Reverse cash Lucky hitting the fairway. I know that.
Yeah, he was due. It's what he said on the tee, at least.
All right, we're having Jordan on tomorrow, Justin. So you get to give me a question to ask Jordan on the pod when I record with him. You got anything that comes to mind?
I think you should ask him if he... if he felt like he got a perfect line from the caddies each time on the course. I think that would be a pretty fair question to ask. I think.
Do I need to loop in Greller in this?
No. Don't bring Greller. He doesn't need to end up in the wrong when he wasn't even there. Just just curious. I don't know.
Oh my God. There's no better feeling, walking down the fairway, watching Jordan looking like he's talking to Michael Greller, who just happens to be a local caddy. Just like, are you sure that was the line to the wind switch? I mean, just classic Jordan stuff. And
is that not good over there? Be like, why would you think that's good over there? We've never played here before. I don't know.
I'll ask him it tomorrow. And luckily for you, on the way out, Justin, you get to do your first podcast read.
Yeah.
And first off, are you nervous? And number two, do you have all of the materials in front of you?
I do. Yes. So, this is, for Wear SPF, we know that I think we could sense how tough this was for you to do and execute. And I honestly was getting a little uncomfortable for you, listening to you try to figure out how you were going to tie this in. So, you know what? I took it on the chin, and I'm going to do it. So here's my first.
Thank you. I want to hear an Emmy performance. So let's lean in here.
All right, I'm reading it. I didn't memorize it first time I've seen it.
Thank you. Please.
Hi, I'm Justin Thomas, and you're listening to The Smylie Show, presented by Wear SPF. I'm doing this read because Smylie is really bad at these. So I'm here to tell you that you can go right now to wearspf.com and buy one product with half off the second by using code SMILEY50. That's SMYLIE 50. Block the sun, not your drives like the Hi-Ya King, Smylie Kaufman. Use Wear SPF like I do and enjoy the rest of the Smylie Show.
I mean, round of applause. Look at you. The end. I think that was added recently. I didn't see that. Block out the sun, the Hi-Ya King. God, that's beautiful.
I was wondering why I got two versions here, and
that's poetic.
Luckily I read the second.
That might as well be a haiku. That is beautiful.
Listening to you try to understand what Smylie 50, and then you're like, so it's you product and you get one, and I'm like, it's half 50, half off. This
is the same guy that just went to the dealership realizing that his car was in 4-wheel drive and not 2-wheel drive. So I have strengths, I have weaknesses. Luckily, you can carry me in this situation. Good job, Charlie, on giving that read over to JT. He crushed it. Justin, thank you for hopping on. What a trip in Ireland. Awesome messages with Wear SPF, and we look forward to watching you crush it in the playoffs. And I'm looking forward to watching you not play links golf on modern golf courses.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to run it through that Bermuda rough in Memphis quite as easy. So I'm going to probably just see pin, hit pin.
Love it. All right, buddy. Thank you again.
All right. Thanks, y'all.
What has happened? What has transpired here at the First Bank Center here in Denver, Colorado? It wasn't just a big night of fights. It was a big night of memorable moments. Conor McGregor with us here in Denver, Colorado. Good left hand from Ron Paul. Right hand, right back from Mike Perry.
Can I get a face-off with Conor McGregor, man?
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here, warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City. What a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight.
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
With
we've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make. So let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
There you have it. JT on Ireland and Smylie. As promised, we no longer have to do where SPF reads, or when we do, it's just going to be as simple as listen to Justin Thomas, because that was knocked out of the park.
It was great, man.
Did you like that little block
the
pun
sun
there?
Yeah, that was good, man.
Little Hiya King there. Yeah. Listen, I was a journalism major. No big deal, man.
That was great.
A little bit.
It was good.
That was a ton of fun to listen to and get that recap, and the fun continues because now we're headed over to Jordan Spieth. What are we dialing in for Jordan here?
You know what? I'm excited to ask him a couple questions. He's a golf savant himself, so I know he'll have some opinions on the course, and he loves talking golf as well. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Definitely got to throw that question that JT wanted me to ask him, so I'll throw that in there as well. But Jordan, always so great to talk to, so this will be fun.
Well, you really hate to hear it. I mean, on this show, we've documented what a good scorecard keeper he is, and now
Gotta ask him about it.
We got to press him on that. We got to figure that out. So let's get to it. Jordan Spieth and Smylie on the Ireland golf trip.
Like we promised our guests that we have here as we speak, Jordan Spieth. Man, we just had quite the little run the last week or so, going to the Open Championship, going on a little trip to Ireland. We just had JT on to recap it. And guess what? It's your turn. What was the highlights for you? The news and notes from that whole week.
I'm assuming you just mean the Ireland trip.
Yeah. Let's go Ireland. Why don't we just do Ireland?
Well, I think as like for what we do, we don't really ever get to go on a golf trip with our buddies, right? Like, that's what now our buddies want to do is go on golf trips and travel around and do that. So to be able to go over to Ireland and do that, it was pretty epic. I mean, to be honest, I was like plenty fine with not playing golf for like 3 or 4 days after playing like 90 holes 2 weeks in a row in Scotland. But then we got out there and, it was like it was like Christmas morning at the European Club until you saw the fescue on the first hole. And then you thought, man, this is thicker than it was at Troon. So we actually have to focus today in order to not lose golf balls. But it was amazing. I mean, I think I hadn't played the island. I hadn't played European or Island Club. Mm-hmm. European Club was probably like one of the most beautiful golf courses I've ever been on. And then the Island Club was one of the coolest ones. It reminded me of a couple of the courses I've played on the West Coast where it's kind of a tale of two nines. And that was cool. So you almost got 2 courses in one. So yeah, there was definitely a lot of searching for golf balls. So yes, I spent probably half the time searching for golf balls. But the other half was really fun.
Yeah, we had a great time. And when we showed up to the European Club, the boys were ready to get some fresh air after an hour-long bus ride. And we get to the first tee, and you, myself, and JT, we'd been talking for so long about just wanting to get some crazy weather. And I guarantee you, if you would have showed up that day and there was, it's 55 degrees, it's blowing 30, and it's raining, like you talked about how much golf you'd play, you'd probably been like, you know what, I'll sit this one out, sit in the clubhouse and wait till you guys get in. But it was like 75 degrees, no wind, and sunny and no clouds. So we got pretty damn lucky with the weather too.
Well, I think also, as you started to mention that, I thought you were going to go into the first tee shot hit from the group, which was your tee shot on 1. And, I tried to introduce you like they introduced us at the Open Championship, and, the owner of the club is out there, and, there's a small crowd on the tee, and there's a lot of pressure on that shot. and you just put driver off the deck and you shipped one right down the right side of the fairway. And, I think without that shot, I don't think we would have had a good time. I think really
that's a good point.
Because you hit that shot, it really got everyone, okay, we can do this. And,
yes.
And then everyone hit their first shots, and then they said, never mind, we can't do this.
It's the anti-high. Charlie and I were talking about it early in the episode, but you know how upset I get with you when you have a driver off the deck yardage and I'm following your group.
Yeah.
And I let everybody know, like, guys, driver off the deck's got to be coming. And then when you don't do it, I'm so upset. You know how much it means to me for you to rip that driver head cover off and hit that thing off the deck. So just know how important it is for a guy watching.
Well, you know what I figured out? I've actually hit probably more driver off the decks this year than the rest of the years combined, just randomly. The fun one is when you hit it off the tee and then you just never put it back in the bag. You just carry driver without the head cover down the fairway, and you know that you're going to hit it again. Like I played the first 2 rounds of the Open, and our whole group on Friday when it started to blow just hit driver on both the par 5s on the front 9. So we all just walked off the tee with drivers, and there was just no other club you could use on the next shot because it's blowing straight in off the right. You need it low and cutting, and you're off like a upslope. It's like, I mean, you hit any other club, it's just never going to come out of the sky. So it was amazing. I've never, it's very rare to have 2 guys in a group hit driver off the deck, let alone 3 do it like consecutive holes. It was like number 4 and 6. It's like, what'd you hit on the front 9? What'd you hit on the front 9? Well, I hit 4 iron off the tees, except for the par 5s. We just started hitting driver everywhere. It was wild.
Yeah, that front 9 was interesting, especially the way that wind direction was. But I was actually, because I was in that first group, we had 13 guys playing, so we have 4 go out. So we got 9 back there on the tee at European Club in day 1. And I was told a story, and I would like for you to tell it because I just want the image and the pictures from your perspective of James talking about how his knee was hurting and that AV put him through, I guess, something to help fix his knee. What happened?
That's right. Yeah. James, well, luckily we were in carts because I think, James's knee was really busted up, but AV luckily had a great fix. He's a jack of all trades. I mean, the guy can do everything. And, so I think we had a trainer in the group in Joe Russo, but I think the trust level that James has with AV, I think that really stepped in there. And not to mention, I think Joe was in your group already, so he was gone. And so AV put him through he kind of told him to go on his back, took him through a couple legitimate things, and then told him to roll over on his stomach and then bend his knees and then just start kicking his feet back and forth. And given, we're in front of, these are these people's first impression of us, and he's now on his stomach kicking his feet back and forth, doing like from Zoolander. And I mean, he's not a small person, right? And so it was and then he finally realized that he was getting messed with, and all of a sudden, and then he had to go tee off. He was in the second group heading off, and boy, that was a good.
Luckily,
bit.
his knee got fixed. It's been a shame for him to hit a first tee shot, and his knee not be loosened up. So thank goodness AV took him through it.
Absolutely.
Oh man, so many stories from the week that just come to mind. But from JT and I talking, we got to play together at Port Marnock with your brother Steven and your buddy Austin, who's I considered my friend as well. But we've bragged on you quite, pretty well about how good you are at keeping a scorecard. But I would say this was a D- effort from you for our Wolf Hammer game out there. You were all over the place. What happened?
Yeah, I lost. It was really I would say, it's a random skill of mine. It's really more of like a character flaw. I just can't have anyone else keep it, or if they do, I have to keep it too. And I take a lot of pride in my ability to, whether it's an AC-doocy game on the bus ride or keeping everybody's kind of blackjack numbers to, keeping Wolf numbers on a scorecard. And I just completely lost it after after number 11. We made the turn, and I looked back from number 13, and I'm like, I'm missing $140 somewhere. I don't know where I'm missing it. And I'm looking back, and I'm like, no, it doesn't match up on 11, and I got to track it back to number 7. And so now I'm walking down a hole, and I mean, I just didn't even play a hole because I'm trying to figure out these numbers. And we never got there. We never figured it out. And
which is fine.
that was pretty consistent with the other 2 days as well.
Hopefully they learned their lesson. Hey, this ain't the NBA, bro. You don't have 6 fouls, and they will check you on this stuff. And Brooks has a reputation coming into this. You can tell the refs are watching them, and they were on him all the time.
This was 10, 12 years ago. Canada playing Greece with that type of lead that they had. They probably would have mentally crumbled and lost that game to Greece by 3 or 4 points in the final minute of that ball game.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
Try and set the stage for what should be a great year of NFL action.
There's a handful of teams that potentially can compete for a Super Bowl championship.
Confusion and uncertainty this year more than some in the past.
This team looks like it's ready to make a move, but we just don't know if it's bad or good this year.
J.J. McCarthy is eventually going to take over, but it's like it's a no-lose situation for them.
I mean, they suck. They were 7-10.
Only on SportsGrid.
That race for the Cy Young, pretty much as equally compelling and intriguing as the race for the wild card spots in the National League.
And also keep in mind, this team doesn't pitch the entire season, so his ERA gets affected much, much more if he has a poor outing than, let's just say, Chris Sale or Zach Wheeler that's been there all season long. This would be a fun one to watch it play out, but the big loser last night were the Phillies and Zach Wheeler.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Their coach has a personality that is New York City. Tough, grinding, defensive, no holds barred. We muck this game up and we make you play it our way. And Tibbs has been rewarded, and he should be rewarded for what he's done with the Knicks.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Asked Justin about the 16th hole, and he kind of described the story of my back going out and then ended up hitting a 5-iron onto the green. And you and I were on the same Wolf Hammer team for that hole. I hooped that 40-footer for eagle, and then you and I are just giggling, trying to do the math of what Justin was putting for. And you and I, we still had no idea what the value was on the putt. But are you able to like figure it out now? Like, do you have a general idea what the putt was worth?
I think one of us had it at like 8120 and the other had it at like 800, 1200. So we were close. Like it was somewhere in between
just
the two.
missing 0.
Because, you know, they hammered when he almost made it for a 2, and, you know, it was blind shot, and we get up there and he looks close. They hammered us already. And then you went and drained that snake. It would have gone in, you know, a thimble. I mean, it was right in the middle, perfect speed, may have gone 18 inches past from about 45 feet. And those are the ones where you're walking it in and you're just screaming hammer back. Cause it's the 16th hole. So it's our 69th hole of the day. Shout out. And, so that's not true. It's the 70th hole of the day. And, so yeah, we were struggling there, and in us trying to figure it out, Justin went and made it right in the dead center on top of you from about 15 feet. And that was nice because it at least took the pressure off of trying to figure out exactly what it was for.
Yeah, because then you would have actually had to figure out all the math of the scorecard.
Yeah,
and
because it would have been significant
just
enough.
Kind of a wash.
Yeah, it would have been significant enough that someone was going to have to pay somebody. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Luckily,
except my brother just kept saying every time he went down, he'd just be like, "Nope, I'm not paying." It's kind of a good thing. Like, I'm just going to start using that.
Yep, he's the king of it, man. He makes me laugh more than any human in this world. Your brother Steven. And I guess Port Marnock. Let's just talk a little bit about this golf course. You've played it before, but there's rumors that they may get an Open Championship. Just what was your impressions of that golf course? As we have already kind of discussed the European and Island Club.
Yeah, I think European and Island Club were incredibly unique, and Port Marnock is more like proper standard links. You don't have anything that's kind of odd or wild that sticks out in a way. It was the closest to Dublin. So I think that would be incredible for if the infrastructure's there, which I guess they're figuring out that it can be. What a scene that could be, because I think about that Adair Manor Pro-Am and who showed up, like the crowds that showed up there, and
oh really?
And I mean, it was unbelievable. And I think the Portrush Open was amazing, but then you throw one like right there where you're within a half hour of Dublin. What a scene that'll be. And then, not to mention, you could have carnage off that first tee.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the first hole, you put it on the ground and you hit a little buttercut driver off the deck, and then you hit a 9-iron to about a foot and a half, and you walk up and you pick it up, and that's the Smylie Kaufman route. It will be
and then
one
you hit
that
a 2-iron on the next hole about 60 yards left.
Well, we're still on number one. After number one, you kind of ease into the course a little bit, but it's all about the conditions. So it's a cool golf course. That wind picked up for us on that back nine. It showed its teeth a little bit, and the bunkers are just kind of like at Troon. It's like they're so annoyingly placed right where you're going to drive the ball. So, mix and match of being able to make eagle, but bogey on the same hole, which when you guys made eagle, I think I'm still playing that hole right now. I don't think I finished it.
Was that the hole where it bounced through the gorse, or like we acted like it bounced through the gorse? Or was that another par 5?
I also shanked like 3 bunker shots in a row on the same hole. So I'm still, I would have struggled to get in on single digits. But you guys made it look pretty easy.
Because I think this is the same hole, and I asked JT. I said, "Hey, give me one question to ask Jordan." And besides us discussing the happy birthday celebration, by the way, happy late birthday, and not singing it to Justin, and instead I was adamant about singing it to you. Besides that, he wanted me to ask you: did you get any poor lines during the trip from any caddies? Like, did you feel like you needed to talk to any of your caddies, like maybe Mikey walking down the fairway?
I'm really not sure. Did any come to your mind? I'm pretty sure any shot that went offline, if you asked me, I'd have been like, yeah, that's going offline.
You need to ask old Mikey Grower, because JT took a hilarious video of it looked exactly like you normally look walking down the fairway with Mikey, where you're talking about whether it's a line or like, can't believe it went this far, just talking about the shot you hit prior, and you're talking with one of the caddies that we had with you, and Justin's taking a video of you just talking about how it looks like you're just bending his ear about the line that you chose, and he sent the video to Grower, so you need to check that one out.
I would say I went into it very much like, I'm just going to try to have fun, so these guys have fun. So it may have looks may have been deceiving there, but there's also a chance I would have been like, I thought I could carry this bunker.
You're right.
Out
it was
I
a
can't.
looks. It was a looks is deceiving thing, and especially as we got later in the day, you just started hitting these chippy drivers that were like 60%, but actually was kind of sick. Like this is a shot that I think is like a third or fourth gear that you can kind of seed out there on some holes at golf courses that have fast and firm fairways and just chase it down.
Yeah, I'm thinking, they come out at about 1,000 spin at about 140 ball speed, and they just kind of, they're not going to get hit by any wind, and if they start straight, they're going to be fine. They came about because I just completely ran out of gas. It's like, you know what, we're done here. We're done here. This was great. This was great, guys. Let's go to dinner.
All right, got a couple more for you. All right, give me an MVP for the trip. I didn't ask JT this, but you got to give me your MVP.
Oh man, it could be your brother.
It's a stacked MVP list, and I feel like he was the favorite at in my opinion, probably the leader in the vote. So
yeah,
not surprising you said Luck.
I think Lucky may have been MVP. It's not only kind of the performance that he put on, the extra gear he had, the hours he put in, but also it's really the attention to detail, the team camaraderie. I mean, he was lining up guys putts for them for a 7 or 8 when he still had one for like a 6 or a 7 next to it. I mean, he really wanted guys to get in the house. He didn't care how long it took. You know, he was embracing the time. He knew he was going to put in long hours. So it didn't, if he was at the golf course or he was somewhere else, it didn't matter to him. I think if you had to say, like, you know, who got the most out of this trip, it would be hard to say anyone else. So I think he was the favorite going in. And everybody likes a good upset, but man, it was kind of like Scheffler at the Masters this year. You know, it's like, well, you kind of know what's going to happen.
Recently, I feel like I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not making bad swings. I don't feel like I'm making terrible decisions, and just had got a little bit of a streak of bad luck on par 5s. Didn't birdie any of them at the Open, didn't birdie any of them today. It's just, you know, and I didn't feel like I did anything terribly wrong, right? But that's just golf. It happens. What's done is done, and this week is the most important week of the year right now.
If he lands it pin high, he's going to be off over the pin position and leave himself a tough putt there. That should bite now. He didn't like it by the looks of it, but he'll love it when he sees it.
Just get this before that bunker. Put himself in a good position.
Just a tiny little baby fade, ideally placed.
To tie the lead at 16. Oh, he's playing well, isn't he, John Rahm?
And OMG, what a championship Sunday we just witnessed.
Win, right? Selfishly, you always want to get that done, but you don't want to see a teammate and a good friend, you know, missing a putt for that happening for me.
The Live Golf League delivers every single event, doesn't it? I mean, what an incredible finish there. You know what, Tyrrell Hatton, I feel for him. He's been playing beautiful golf. In fact, since Miami, he's been the best player in our league based on the strokes gained metric.
I'm really happy that I had my first Live Golf win. Now that Kelly and the kids are watching, just knowing that I'm bringing a trophy home for them, it feels good to say that it's coming home.
I still feel like AV is still on the back nine at the European Club, playing with Lucky, Joe, and Blake. They're just, no, maybe it was Miller, actually. It was Miller. And all four of them just, I think they're still on that back nine.
We had dinner, pints, hung out, talked like for a good, 45 minutes. And then we heard that they were on the 18th tee, and then we went out to watch them finish. So.
And I asked the question, I was like, man, what is taking them so long? I wonder what it was. And then I think it was Joe or Miller almost hit one another. And they're like, okay, that's what happened.
Yeah, AV could have been MVP too. My brother left it all on the field too. He didn't have much returning. He may not be allowed on an American Airlines flight for the foreseeable future. He definitely left it all on the field too. So, God. I don't count the trip home as part of the trip, So, it's hard to pick. I mean, I actually, when I've described this trip, Smylie, and this is to give you credit, to walk around with 13 Americans in the state that we were in around a city like Dublin, where everywhere we walked, we were probably looked at like, oh no. And logistically, how organized and how perfect everything went was such an upset. And
huge upset.
That has a lot to do with you. Gavin was an MVP. We certainly had some locals that were on our side that kind of kept us out of the way of being a problem to other people enjoying their life, while we still got to do what we wanted to do. So, I mean, logistically, it was a 10 out of 10, and I'm shocked because we were prepared for anything.
Yeah, at the beginning of this episode, we thanked all those people, and Alan, the other guy you mentioned, put us on some great restaurants. And wow, that Italian restaurant was probably my MVP of the food for that week. We just wined and dined like we never have before.
Well, and Smylie, I don't know if you know this part of the story, but that second night we ate at that Thai restaurant. And we all got in there first. Everyone showed up kind of at different times. It was raining, so everyone had walked there in the rain. We all looked like a mess. We were battered, right? That was like after the European Club. And we walk in there, and at our side of the table, one of my buddies here in Dallas asked if they have sake, which they had like a whole sake list. But clearly they know why he's asking if they have sake. And he goes, let me check what we have. And he came back like a couple of minutes later and he goes, I'm sorry, we're all out of sake. And I mean, I lost it. This guy knew exactly what was going on. There's no chance they were out of sake. And he's like, we are not having this. This is a nice place. And I know that you're at the middle table of this restaurant. It's already like 10 p.m. Absolutely not. And I thought that was a great play by the staff at that restaurant. And nobody really caught it. I mean, it was great.
Oh God, man. Well, this was a great recap. Thank you for coming on and joining. And where are we going to see you next?
I think I'll be playing the next couple weeks.
Sweet.
I'm planning on playing Wyndham and then St. Jude and try to get on a nice little run.
The 1,000 mile an hour the spin. What is it? The RPMs? Is that
the little bunt.
That works at Wyndham. That would have worked on that 11th tee, 18th. Just kind of
does not work at St. Jude. It does not roll on the Zoysia.
It does not roll on the Zoysia.
I don't think it'll fly 10 yards in that humidity. So,
all right. So, quick question: takeaways from 2024. I know Riss has been touch and go, but is there anything that you just sitting here today that's just a takeaway from the year?
Yeah, I think it's been an odd one. I started out pretty good, and then I just kind of ran into a lot of trying to test the hand out on a lot of things throughout the swing, try to test it more and more, and it's been kind of bugging me. So I think I'm going to have to do something about it this off season and hopefully just come back better. So it's been a bit frustrating in that way. I've never really had like an injury that's prevented me from doing anything. And so I can see why that's so frustrating to people now. But, I hope I got another good 10 to 15 years left at a really high level. And so I need to make sure I'm in the right place going forward to be at my best. So, I think, it's one of those where I go to a couple golf courses coming up that I've played well in the past, and you start getting on a little run, better late than never, and I can certainly turn it into something great. And if not, then I'll have a little more recovery time to try and get it taken care of.
Yep, all makes sense, and I've been so impressed with how well you've driven the ball this year. I think you supplant your driving ability in any other year. You're having just an all-time type of year, but like the hand stuff you mentioned, I think whenever you get it sorted or whenever it gets figured out, you're swinging it great. And look forward to watch you make a bunch of birdies and hopefully watch you hit some driver off the decks in the middle of the fairway, because that gets me excited watching you play some golf.
I'm not sure. I think the first time I'm going to see you in a fairway coming up, I just won't stop laughing. I mean, I'm going to need a buffer round. You're going to need to come out during a pro-am so we can get this over with.